Hello, everybody. This is FilmNerd here, and I have a very special guest on right now. He is the co-founder and head of Troma Entertainment. He is the man responsible for such films as the Toxic Avenger, Class of Nuke Em High, Terror Firmer, and Poultrygeist. I have with me the one and only Lloyd Kaufman. Say hi, Lloyd.
Well, hi. Thank you, Matt, the film nerd. I'm going to keep the camera off because I'm totally naked.
Yeah,
because that's the way we Tromaville nerds operate, especially in lockdown. And I'm
yeah, I know.
very
2020
honored.
has not been a good year.
Nor has the tire.
Hmm.
That's a car joke.
Yeah.
The Toxie and I love the film nerd, and we're very honored. Toxie's sitting right here with me, and we're most honored to be on with you. And hello to all our friends in St. Louis. I believe that's where you're broadcasting.
Yeah, that's where I'm based in, but I've actually got fans from all over the country, and I think in some other parts of the world.
Oh, I don't doubt it. That's very important. That's why I immediately accepted this wonderful opportunity to spread the Troma technique all over the world. You know, St. Louis was the very first place we presented returned Tromeo and Juliet, because it was James Gunn's hometown, and the St. Louis Film Festival invited the film to be an official entry. And then James Gunn, was really confident. And then the local newspaper, whatever the big newspaper is, totally it tore the film a new asshole.
Yeah.
But then from then on, the New York Times and the Cinémathèque Française and the real critics loved the Shakespeare shitstorm. But that first St. Louis show, we expected to be a lot more sympathetic. But
yeah. Which honestly, I'm probably in the minority then for St. Louis, because I actually love Tromeo and Juliet. I think it's easily one of Troma's best films.
Well, it certainly is, and James Gunn is, I would say, a major reason. But also, Jane Jensen and Will Keenan are superb in it, and actually, all the acting is quite good. Sean Gunn has a good part. I think pretty much all the acting in that film is Stevie Blackheart. In fact, James Gunn's best friends came out of that movie, believe it or not.
Wow.
To this day, he's got 2 or 3 of his best friends who came out of Tromeo and Juliet.
Okay.
And his one of his good best friends also he met during the Troma Dance Film Festival that we used to do we used to present it in Park City, Utah, at the same time and same village as the Sundance Film Festival, same week. Except our festival was free, and James was involved in the first 2 or 3 years of Troma Dance, and he met another one of his best friends there, and Gabe Friedman, with whom I wrote. Well, actually, he carried most of the water. Poultrygeist, Night of the Chicken Dead. He met his beloved, with whom he still resides, at Troma Dance Film Festival in Park City, Utah. So Troma is a studio that's not just 47 years of making films of the future, or 47 years of setting the media mainstream, but also a village of lovers, Tromaville.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
It's for lovers.
Yeah, actually, I kind of want to go back to the 47 years thing. That honestly is very impressive. Not very many studios can boast they've been around for that long. You started Troma back in 1974, I believe.
Yes, I believe that Troma, I'm quite certain Troma is the longest running independent film studio in history. Certainly the longest running independent studio in history with the same management, namely Michael Hers and Lloyd Kaufman, and more miraculously with that management, as stupid as we are, believing in idealism and believing in art for art's sake, and believing in to thine own self be true. Somehow, through the great leadership of Mr. Michael Hers, we have managed to continue to prosper in spite of the movies that I've been making, like Terra Firma, which is totally insane, or the recent hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm, which is my version of The Tempest. And hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm probably is not the smartest title to put on a marquee, on a theater marquee, but
Probably, but I mean, it's certainly a title that would get a lot of people's attention.
Well, I think Shakespeare would have appreciated it, and I think it's a great movie for the shitstorm of a year, 2020.
Yeah.
If there ever was a shitstorm of a year, this is it. If there ever was a shitstorm of a career, mine is it. And hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm probably is the last movie of that intense, that ambitious. I mean, I had vertigo after I finished making it. I'm getting old, and it was really quite a. I have to, whatever I do next, it's not going to have thousands of people and different time periods and hundreds of special effects and all that. And it's also my version of The Tempest, which is my very favorite Shakespearean movie, play.
Oh, right on. So one question that one of my fans was asking me, and I know this will sound pretty simplistic, how difficult exactly is it to make a film? Like, how hard is it to get a film made?
I don't think there's any more difficult a film to get made than the kind of Troma movie I've been making for 50 years. The reason being that our budgets are around 2% of a typical mainstream medium budget. Our budgets are $500,000. That's less than 2% of your typical Hollywood movie. And to have thousands of people and costume and time periods, different different times, like this, like hashtag Shakespeare's Shitstorm. We've got present day. We've got 1980s. I mean, we've got trained whales. We've got it goes all over the map. And to make that for under $500,000, that's the same budget as we made the original Toxic Avenger in 1983.
Oh, wow.
$450,000 to $500,000. But today, $1984, the $450,000 would be worth about $4 million today. So, so we're making movies for about 10%, actually, in today's dollars, value of what we made back in 1983 or 84. So it's the most challenging thing in the world. And also we spend years on the script. We spend at least a year on pre-production. And we have very long days. It's at least the hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm was 5 weeks. We did 8 days in Albania, and then we did 4 weeks in New York, and then we had from Woody Allen. I learned to save money for post-production reshoots, where sometimes the plot won't make any sense without some kind of linkage or some cutaways or something. So I always save a little money in the budget to go back in post-production to shoot insert scenes or extra scenes that make the plot more comprehensible. And the post-production for us takes at least a year. Nobody wants our movie, so we can take as long as we fucking want. It's not like we have to get hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm out for Christmas. It's Peter Jackson or Quentin Tarantino or James Gunn. That's their job. They've got to, hit a certain schedule, and that a schedule that's set up maybe 2 years in advance or more. I don't know.
Yeah,
so
actually,
we have the luxury of taking as long as we want to film the movie, and we also have the luxury, since we don't use unions, we have the luxury of being able to shoot a lot of the movie in sequence, so we can rewrite as we go along, or eliminate characters who may not be, eliminate actors who may not be so cooperative while
Yeah.
we're on set, or we can expand the parts of certain actors who are better than we expected. Vincent D'Onofrio, who blew his brains out in Stanley Kubrick's Full Metal Jacket. He was
Spoiler alert, by the way.
Excuse me?
Uh, Spoiler alert, but by the way, for that scene.
Which scene?
The Full Metal Jacket scene.
Oh, well, everybody's seen it. So no spoilers. Everybody in the entire world has seen that film. And they don't know. So I don't have to, I can easily say that when Vincent D'Onofrio makes love to the giraffe, everybody's seen that scene. Everybody saw when he blew his brains out. And of course, the giraffe also kind of broke his neck during the shooting. That's a giraffe joke, a bad one. But in any event, D'Onofrio was basically a background person when we were shooting the first Turn On, which was also 1983 or so thereabout. And but every time he appeared on screen, his action was so funny that we actually upgraded him, and we were shooting in sequence for the most part, so we could expand his part as we went along. And he ended up with a featured role. It was a summer camp film, and D'Onofrio ended up with a featured role. One of the campers named Lobotomy, and he was very funny and very nice guy. In fact, I cast him in the Toxic Avenger Part 2, but at some point he said I fired him, but I don't remember doing that. But if I did, it's probably because he had some strong opinions, and maybe, the director is the boss. I don't know. If I did fire him, that was incredibly stupid of me.
Yeah. And actually, speaking
Why are
of
you saying
Vincent,
yes? You're supposed to say no, Lloyd. That's certainly not stupid. You should have fired Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah. But anyway, speaking of Vincent D'Onofrio, a lot of your movies have featured small appearances by now famous people. Like The Toxic Avenger has Marissa Tomei. Of course, you gave Trey Parker and Matt Stone their start with Cannibal the Musical. I believe Kevin Costner had an appearance in Sizzle Beach, USA.
Yes, but I didn't. I can't take credit for that. The guy who made the movie for us is named Eric Luziel. So he really discovered Kevin Costner, but we're the one who helped him out with his movie, and then we paid him to, we gave him money, and it's a Troma movie. So yes, it is a Troma movie, and it's, I think, Kevin Costner's best movie. I think it's pretty generally accepted that Kevin Costner's best movie is, in fact, Sizzle Beach, USA. In fact, Kevin Costner loved it so much that a few years later, he spent $200 million, and he went back to the water and made Waterworld, which was basically a reimagining of Sizzle Beach, USA, as everybody knows.
Of course. So for some of the people who are listening, who maybe aren't too familiar with Troma, what, in your own words, how would you best describe a Troma movie? Like what defines a Troma film?
Well, that's a very good question. And I think Troma has become a brand. When you go to see a Troma movie in a theater, the Troma fans who like to see our movies in a movie theater, and we make our movies for the big screen, even today, the Troma fan knows that they, you see how politically correct I am, I'm using the wrong pronoun, they,
absolutely,
because they know that they will, they may love Class of Nuke 'Em High, or they may hate Terra Firma, but they'll never forget Return to Nuke 'Em High, or Return to Nuke 'Em High. They know they'll go on adventure in the cinema. They know they'll see something they've never seen before. They'll have strong emotions, perhaps pleasant or unpleasant, but they'll feel something, which most mainstream movies have nothing of what I've just mentioned. They're just baby food. And you can live on baby food, but it's very unsatisfactory. Troma is the how shall I say it? You would say the jalapeno peppers on the cultural pizza of life. And not everybody likes jalapeno peppers, but there's a huge audience of cult movie lovers who have embraced
Absolutely.
Troma. Our fans are the best in the world, and many people around the world love jalapeno peppers on their cultural pizza.
Yeah, I mean,
Troma is that jalapeno peppers.
I know for a fact I certainly like jalapeno peppers. But yeah, I mean, watching a film like The Toxic Avenger or Terra Firma definitely leaves a certain reaction that, a movie like Avengers Endgame just can't quite match.
Yeah, and they have every film I've been in. Now, Troma's library is about 1,000 movies. We've got a streaming service, which, if you could please help us promote a little bit, it's about
Absolutely.
4 or 5 years old, called Troma Now. Troma
Hmm.
Now. It's the future, but now. And every month we put up 6 to 15. This December we put up 15 new exclusive movies.
Oh, wow.
And we have the James Gunn and the Eli Roths and the Kevin Costners of tomorrow involved in these premiere exclusive movies on Troma Now, as well as the Troma movies. We don't put them on Netflix or Amazon anymore, or
Hmm.
YouTube. They're all on exclusively on Troma Now. The first month is free, and then it's only $4.99 per month. And you go to watch.troma.com, and all our subscribers stick. They really love the visionary movies there, and Troma Now looks like it's going to be it is successful, but we need because of COVID.
Hmm.
Business is awful, but we're Troma Now is really our main source of revenue, and we've been paying all our staff throughout this horrible COVID-19 awful Troma movie in which we're all living. We've been
Sure.
paying all our people, which is more than I can say for Walt Disney or any of the other members of the media cartel.
Yeah.
So if not only do we have great movies and shorts and documentaries, comic books, Tromette, we have Tromette Double Dementia's beautiful signed personalized Tromette photographs on Troma Now, and music videos, and nothing censored, all original director's cuts. And I would say it's a much better value than you get from HBO Max or one of those things. It
Absolutely.
costs
Yeah.
nothing. And first
Absolutely.
month, you can see a lot first month for free. But
Yeah, I
anyway, if you
think
could mention Troma Now and watch.troma.com to subscribe, it's a great present if you want to give somebody a holiday or birthday present for
uh,
a year. A year costs about what one uh, mainstream Blu-ray would cost, or one showing of Mulan on Disney Plus.
yeah, I can personally say that I would much rather pay the 4.95 a month for, just 1 month of Troma Now than spend the additional $30 to watch, a live action version of a animated movie from like almost 20 years ago.
Yes, I'm for that too. In fact, you'd have to pay me to watch most of those movies.
Yeah. So actually kind of thinking about Disney for a second, I remember when I saw Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 in the theater, as soon as I saw your cameo in it, I was honestly pretty stunned for numerous reasons. One, the idea that Lloyd Kaufman, the guy who made The Toxic Avenger, would cameo in a Marvel Disney movie, and just the idea that James Gunn somehow convinced them to let you have a cameo. Could you maybe explain a little bit about how that came to be?
Well, many, you know, stars and directors all over Hollywood have been heavily influenced by Troma and my movies specifically. Talk to the guys who made Deadpool. It's environmental. They break the fourth wall, and they talk about Troma. I never met those guys, And you know James Gunn, Eli Roth, Trey Parker, and Matt Stone. Oliver Stone started with me. When I go to Los Angeles, which before this pandemic, I would go at least once a month. Every time I would go into an office out there, there'd be somebody who had worked for us. I was in The Cell, directed by a guy who directed Paranormal Activity. He had worked for us, and his director of photography had worked for us. And, you know, there are people, when on the set of Guardians of the Galaxy, the green woman, I can't remember her name, but she's one of the stars. She said she dressed up for Halloween as the Toxic Avenger. Chris Pratt, a huge Troma fan. Most of James Gunn's closest associates and friends are all Troma fans. But wait till you see James Gunn's amazing Guardians of Suicide Squad. Wait till you see Uncle Lloyd in that. Even better than my one-word cameo in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah. I don't know. That was just
if you go to my IMDb movie, you go to my IMDb. I don't handle it, but you'll see it. But the people who make the movies run it. You know, whenever I'm in a film, they put it on my IMDb. There's about 400 movies I've acted in, and mainly new young directors. Because if I'm in a movie, you know, the Troma fans will usually support anything I'm in. And if there's no budget, I do it for free. And then certain times I pay my own. You know, if I really love the script of my part or the person, I'll pay my own travel expenses.
Oh, right on.
I was just in a great movie by Dan Mervish, who started among other things, he founded the Slamdance Film Festival, which occurs during Sundance in the same village and at the same time. And Troma Dance started just about the same time when we went to Sundance the first time with Trey Parker and Matt Stone with Cannibal the Musical, and the official Sundance Festival treated us so poorly. So that's when I started Troma Dance as sort of a stick in the eye to Redford, and it's a free festival. You can watch the movies for free. You can submit your movies to Troma Dance for free. You don't have to pay a submission fee, and you can see the movies for free. And we moved out of Park City because Troma Dance started to become taken seriously as a real film festival, and also the Park City police just you know, Sundance and their henchmen kind of policed us out of there. So we moved to New York. We're in Manhattan now, in New York, and it's in the next time we do it, it'll be our 20th year, which hopefully will be next spring. I hope COVID recedes and we get the vaccines. Whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. So, kind of thinking about like major movies before. Prior to Troma really getting big, you've been involved in a few big movies. I'd say probably one of the bigger ones was Rocky. You played a drunken bum, and I believe you also helped out with some of the locations. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, actually, John Avildsen and I worked my first on set of a real movie. Well, I made my own movies, of course, before Joe, but John G. Evelson had me come onto the set of Joe, and I saw immediately on the first day that John G. Evelson was a true artist, and I decided I would attach myself to him. And sure enough, Joe became an Oscar-nominated movie, even though it was made for $125,000 in 1970. It was Peter Boyle's first movie and Susan Sarandon first movie, among others. And it's a terrific film. It's Norman Wexler, who went on to write Saturday Night Fever. He wrote it. And then after that, I volunteered to work for John Avildsen. And when he got his next gig, which is Cry Uncle, I helped raise some of the money. and that became a big hit. And it's on Troma Now. It's distributed by Troma, although Lee Hessel, Canvas Film, was the main producer. But I raised some of the money, and I was production manager because I helped Evelson in the initial stages, and volunteered my time before the production was organized. And then after Cry Uncle, he got the Rocky gig, and they didn't have enough money because Sylvester Stallone was the star, and United Artists only gave the producers about $1 million to make this, basically mainstream movie. And Avildsen and Stallone wanted to film in Philadelphia, and they were right. The story was written for Philadelphia. Imagine
Absolutely.
Rocky without Rocky running up the museum stairs, or Rocky running through the fruit market, or Rocky in the pet store, or Rocky running along the river with those great Steadicam shots. There were about 8 days shot in Philadelphia, maybe a little more. And the Troma Team, I produced those days under the radar of the unions, and we used the non-union crew that we used for Cry Uncle. Ralph Boda was Avildsen's DP on Cry Uncle. His lighting director on Cry Uncle. Ralph Boda also did some lighting on my first theatrical film, Battle of Love's Return, my first real theatrical film, Battle of Love's Return. But in terms of Rocky, all that Philadelphia stuff was shot non-union and unbeknownst to the unions. And the unions did find out, the truck drivers found out, the Teamsters found out around the 8th day, and that was when they closed down the Philadelphia stuff. They would have gone on longer in Philadelphia, but they got all these great exteriors and a few interiors, and that's what made the movie. And if you go to the Blu-ray, there's a Blu-ray with all the Rocky movies in it. And one of the main features of that Blu-ray is a short piece of my home movies that John Avildsen cut together. Somebody found them in the Troma basement, so I sent them out to John Avildsen, the director, the Oscar-winning director, like 3 or 4 years ago, and he cut maybe an hour of my Super 8 film down to about 12 minutes. And then John Avildsen and I wrote a script to go with it, and we recorded it in a nice sound studio. And you can see this 12-minute behind the scenes making of Rocky in Philadelphia. And you can see, Matt, how the movie was made exactly like a Troma low-budget movie with the background people were basically people in the street, and I had a part, and when we needed to wet the streets at night, the local people in their houses, in their row houses, hosed down the streets for us, and pizza for lunch, and then the next day we'd have pizza for lunch, and then the third day we'd have pizza for breakfast, and the fourth, it was like a Troma movie. And Talia Shire, what's his name? Meredith.
Burgess Meredith.
Yeah, Burgess and Stallone and what's his guy in Maniac? Joe Spinell. And we were all in Philadelphia, living in a modest hotel. And in fact, the meatpacking plant where Rocky beats up, punches the carcasses of the cows or the bull, with the whatever they are, beef, in the freezer, in the big giant freezer. That was in Packer Avenue in Philadelphia. And so Pat's Steakhouse was in Philadelphia. I mean, you can't imagine, we had pretty long days, and everybody was very devoted. And my part is both interior and exterior. So it's a kind of an interesting little factoid, or should I say factoid, but not fact heard. that
Yeah.
I started the scene on the exterior, but the gang had to go back, had to flee Philadelphia because the unions caught on to us.
Sure.
I stayed back in Tromaville in New York because we were in the middle of making, I think, Squeeze Play. We were making Squeeze Play at the time, preparing it. And but when it came time to film the interior of that bar scene in Rocky, I paid my way out to Los Angeles, and Evelson let me do, he had me do the second part, the interior, where Rocky carries me from the outside, and inside the bar, he plunks me down to another trunk. He plunks me down next to another drunk. And then you see me in 2 or 3 other scenes in Rocky. And it was a great learning experience. I'd say Rocky and Saturday Night Fever were probably my 2 major film school sessions, because I didn't choose to go to film school after Yale University. I had enough people telling me what to do.
Sure. Um, so, I was actually going to say I was pretty devastated when I heard about John G. Avildsen's passing, because, like you said, he was a fantastic director.
Oh, he was the best. He and George Romero are the 2 most underrated American directors, or at least under attention getting. I mean, you look at Avildsen's oeuvre, Karate Kid movies, Rocky movies. He's done 2 Rocky movies, Cry Uncle, Joe, both of them huge, $150,000 hits, huge, top of Variety's top 50 theatrical grossing films when they came out. He did John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd, Neighbors. He did one called about a principal in a New Jersey school. Can't remember it, but it was terrific. Every movie he did, and for the most part, he used unknowns. And his movies are all terrific. And it's one that's a pity is he was filming one toward the end of his career with Van Damme, and Van Damme behaved like a jerk. So the movie could have been really great, but somehow Van Damme, apparently, according to Avildsen, took the film away from Avildsen and thought he was a better editor than Avildsen. And if you watch my introduction with John G. Evelson to the Cry Uncle DVD, Evelson talks about it. In fact, he's even on the phone with Van Damme, and he's suggesting to Van Damme, let's have 2 focus groups. We'll show them my edited version, meaning Avildsen's edited version, or your edited version, meaning Van Damme, and let the 2 audiences decide which one they like best, or let the audience decide which one they like best. And Van Damme wouldn't do it. And unfortunately, the movie turned out to be garbage. Not garbage, it's still interesting, but you can see that it could have been, real good Avildsen characters in it. And it's just a pity. I saw a lot of the dailies, and it could have been a great swan song for Avildsen.
Yeah, that's always the worst. Whenever a director has their vision compromised, either by an overzealous star or maybe a greedy studio. I'm sure you've had to deal with plenty of compromises in your career.
Well, I regret that I didn't compromise. Sgt Kabuki Man, NYPD. I should have. We had a big time company putting up half the money. Troma put up the other half, but we had Namco. Namco created Pac-Man, now owned by Bandai. They wanted Sgt Kabuki Man, NYPD for them. They had, I don't know if they still have them, a chain of small amusement parks and vending machines, and they wanted Kabuki Man to be like what Mickey Mouse does in Disneyland. And stupid me, I was more intent on having Kabuki Man eat worms and all kind of there's a lot of social satire in there which doesn't really resound to the Japanese market. And so our partners at Namco, Mr. Nakamura, who died at the age of 99 years old recently, but was like the 25th richest man in Japan. He was so rich, Mr. Nakamura was so rich, that I was told by Tetsu Fujimura, our agent, that and executive producer of Kabuki Man, that when Nakamura's daughter got married, the husband took her family name. That's how rich and powerful Mr. Nakamura was, and he was a very nice man too. I mean, hey, they put up with my shenanigans, and I really regret that I just didn't listen more to them, because I think Kabuki Man would have been a hell of a lot more successful.
Sure.
And you know, it was sort of in the middle of the road. I should have either done it 100% my way, or 100% as an assignment, and
Yep.
you know, sucked it up. And I think my career would have taken a different and perhaps a better career path, more successful perhaps. But
Sure.
there's definitely anyone who says "je ne regrette rien," like Edith Piaf. I think they're wrong. I can't imagine. I have plenty of regrets. That's a
Sure.
big one. But anytime I compromised, which I did a few times, definitely regret that. And I've got others that more personal that I shouldn't talk about.
Fair enough. So I know personally that that a lot of the films you've worked on have been pretty chaotic behind the scenes. Like I've seen the behind the scenes documentary on Poultrygeist and how difficult that was. I believe there's also one on Terra Firma that was pretty difficult. Have there ever been any experiences behind the scenes where it's either been not as chaotic or actually gone over fairly smoothly, or is it always that chaotic?
Every film is different. And we've made, I think, 5 or 6 full-length behind-the-scene documentaries, which are on Troma Now. And I would say each of those documentaries, for example, Return to Nuke Em High and Return to Nuke Em High, which are 2 volumes suggested by Quentin Tarantino, of course.
Sure.
He told me to do that. There's a behind-the-scenes documentary that's about 95 minutes. It's hilarious and very, again, it's as good as a year of film school, called Two Girls, One Duck. It's terrific. It's funny, it's moving, it's educational, it's entertaining. Poultrygeist probably is the best behind the scenes, called Poultry in Motion, Truth is Stranger Than Chicken. And that's the funniest. I mean, I laugh out loud every time I see it or
Yeah.
see pieces of it. But it's also sad, and it's also, you know, there are fist fights, there's loving, there's people proposing to each other, there's temper tantrums by crew members and me, and you see what an asshole I am at times. So it's a real unvarnished, all our documentaries are unvarnished truths, and they're all on Troma Now, along with many of my Make Your Own Damn Movie lessons, which come from my Make Your Own Damn Movie books. I've written 5 of them. Make your own damn movie, direct your own damn movie, produce your own damn movie, sell your own damn movie, and some other books. And I've made videos to go with the books, and many of them are on Troma Now, and many of the videos which are not covered in my books and DVD sets are also on Troma Now. You know, new.
Right. I actually have a copy of one of your books, Make Your Own Damn Movie. I haven't read it in a few years, but I think it's, personally speaking, one of the best filmmaking books I've ever read.
Well, thank you. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. And I think it's still pretty relevant. At the very least, my books are very inspiring. And I think the most interesting one is Sell Your Own Damn Movie, because I wrote it about 8 years ago when there was all that noise about file sharing and how terrible it was.
Sure.
And I suggested that actually, if you're an independent artist, if you have 2 kids in the, you know, if you have a couple of kids who are living in their parents' basement, share my movies, as long as they're not making money off it. What the hell? Why not? It's great publicity. And then, in fact, we gave away 500 or 600 movies on YouTube for about 10 years.
Hmm.
for free to thank our fans until YouTube decided to change the community standards, and out of the blue, they deactivated our free YouTube channel, which had 700,000 subscribers. But the
Yeah.
fans went crazy. The fans have started all sorts of noise and hashtags and save Troma's free channel. And
Yeah.
YouTube, about a week later, YouTube put the channel back up. But then we took down all the movies from YouTube, and they are now all on Troma Now. Troma's free YouTube channel has my editorials and Troma's messages and short pieces and interviews and things that are not on Troma Now, and still has about 500,000 subscribers, and it's free, so there's a lot of good stuff there too. If you don't have the $4.99 a month.
Right on. So of course you've made, hundreds of movies throughout your career. What's for anybody listening, what would you say is your best movie, or at the very least, like what should be someone's first Troma movie? Where should they start?
Well, I think that Tromeo and Juliet is a good couples film.
Hmm.
It's rather romantic because it's based on Romeo and Juliet,
Sure.
and Terra Firma also is a good gateway film. Terra Firma is a totally crazy, crazy, crazy movie, but every time I appeared just before COVID on a tour in Texas, and 4 or 5 different towns, and about half the audience were women. So
Hmm.
I think Terra Firma is a good one. Uh, Again, Toxic Avenger is our kind of signature film,
Sure.
but it's got some graphic stuff in it, and I don't know. It's a huge hit, and it's being remade now. They just cast Peter Dinklage as Toxie, so who knows? That may be a good remake. But the best film I think I've made, and the most fun to make, and this past film, hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm, which has
Yeah.
only been out in a few genre film festivals. I hope people will enjoy it. But it was fun. It actually was. We had again. We probably again we had over 2,000 people participate in this movie, and it's extremely complicated and very very.
Hmm.
As I say, I had 3 days of vertigo when we wrapped principal photography. But it's a great film, and so far our fans love it, and it's won almost every festival it's in.
Oh wow.
And I think I think it's the right time. It's the perfect movie for this 2020 shitstorm we're living through. Hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm is my version of Shakespeare's The Tempest, which is my
Hmm.
favorite Shakespearean film, and I wanted to wait until I was old because the protagonist of Shakespeare is Prospero, who's an old man who's been banished, which I have into the with me. With Prospero, he's banished to an island far away from his domain, and I'm banished into the reeds, deep into the reeds of the underground. And both Prospero and I indulge in magic. He in able to put Ariel in a tree and free Ariel, or make things change, or enslave a monster. In fact, there is a monster in the Tempest. My magic is movie making, and clearly I've had a lot of monsters in my movies, and
Hmm.
Caliban is indeed a monster. So I got a lot of similarities with Prospero, and that's why I didn't want to do the Tempest back in the Tromeo days,
Yeah.
because I wanted to wait till I was old, and I could
Sure.
really feel Prospero and the people involved. It was the most optimistic and most diligent and hardworking and enthusiastic and creative cast and crew that I've ever been able to work with. It was just, I really enjoyed it. And my wife was one of the producers, Justin Martell, who, with John Brennan, produces Joe Bob Briggs' Last Drive-In show for Shudder. They
Yeah.
both started as my assistants at Troma, and Justin produced Return to Nuke Em High and Return to Nuke Em High, and John Brennan was associate producer on both those movies, and they both produced hashtag Return to hashtag. They both produced hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm along with Pat Swinney Kaufman, who is who's retired from being the New York State Film Commissioner for 20 years, appointed by both Republicans and Democrats. And she is my wife, and this was the first project we ever worked together on. And actually, the first script I've put together, which she really loves of all my career. And Brandon Basham, who's I'm producing his latest film, which is called The Slashing, the ending of the beginning. No, sorry, the end of the beginning. It's a follow-up to his first Slashing, which is a Troma movie on Troma Now. Very, very good Troma movie in that it's funny as hell, but also got gore and horror and kind of romantic, both Slashing movies. And also Brandon made a movie called Fear Town, which I think is even funnier than the first Slashing. And we're finishing up now Slashing 2, the end of the beginning, which is just hilarious. It's great. It's a wonderful, wonderful movie. And it's going to be in a lot of big time film festivals, along with hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm. There are two other movies I'm producing, one by Heidi Moore, and she made Dolly Deadly, which is playing on Troma Now, which is a terrific LBTGQ movie, horror movie, and with music, with songs. And her new movie is called Kill Dolly Kill, which is a bigger budget, kind of a Dolly sequel, but it's more than a sequel. It's a totally different film, but it does have the same character as the centerpiece, and it's terrific. And again, it's LBGTQ horror, campy musical, and the songs are terrific, and it's both fun, entertaining, and disturbing at the same time. Very Magritte, very Marcel Duchamp. And then Mercedes the Muse, who has made a couple of movies that are on Troma Now. One is called Honor Killing, and the other is called damn it. Sorry, it's a better one too. It's really good. Like it's two names. You can find it. Just Google her, Mercedes the Muse. Any rate, I'm producing her new movie, which is completed principal photography, and she's got a few little insert scenes to shoot after COVID, but she's editing. That's called Divide and Conquer. Divide and Conquer is a very feminist Troma movie. You know, horror, comedy, sex, all mixed together in a big politically correct enchilada. And Eric Fox, who did the amazing practical effects for hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm, created this incredible, unbelievable monster canine for Mercedes the Muse. And he's a big time Hollywood guy, but he liked her script, so he did it for very little. So that's going to be very good. Can't wait for that to be finished. And then Liam Regan, who I met when I gave a 2-day masterclass, make your own damn movie masterclass at Oxford University. He rode a bus eight hours to get to that Oxford make your own damn movie masterclass. And we became friends, and he started to make his own damn movies inspired by Troma. And the first one is called My Bloody Banjo, and it's on Troma Now, and people love it. And I gave him some money, and he's finished principal photography on Eating Mrs. Campbell, and he is now editing that and writing what we hope will be a movie for me to direct, based on a novel that I wrote with Jordan Paley, Jordan Young. He's got a stage name, Jordan Young. It's called. There's a hardback cover and a soft trade book called Pests, about an exterminator who can read people who, through an accident, a horrible, not an accident, but a horrible experience, horrible, unmentionable. But he emerges being able to read people's minds and hear their thoughts. And it's a very good novel. It's one of the few books where where I actually got royalties. So we're trying to raise money for that. Liam's writing the script for that while he edits Eating Mrs. Campbell's.
I see.
So I'm still pretty active, and Troma's bopping along and staggering along, I should say. We're paying everybody, which the major studios are not. But we really would appreciate anyone who could please subscribe to Troma Now. We don't like to go begging on Kickstarter.
Sure.
But Troma Now, you get a whole year of amazing entertainment. You'll never run out of surprises and discoveries, most of which you'll love, for the price of one viewing of a Disney Max movie, like you say,
Sure.
like you just said. Watch.troma.com. We're building an app where we'll be able to go through Roku and go on every platform. But right now, please enjoy watch.troma.com, which you can watch on your laptops, and I guess you can use Google. What is it? Chromecast
Yeah.
on your TVs.
Mm-hmm.
In any event, to watch.troma.com. It's very easy.
All right. So I guess to kind of wrap things up a little bit.
we better wrap it up. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I just have one more question.
Sure.
Given your years of experience in the film industry, what's some advice that you could offer for any potential young filmmakers out there who want to get their start in the business?
Good question. A very good question. And I would say, look to the bard. Look to the bard. To thine own self be true. Do what your heart and soul and brain tell you is art. Filmmaking is a tightrope between art and business. But first of all, it's an art form. And there are many easier ways to make money. So my suggestion would be, if you want a lot of money and if you want to walk the red carpet and have hookers and cocaine and get good seats in the restaurants, don't take my route. You don't want to be an underground filmmaker in Dayton, Ohio, or New York City like I am. I think you want to go out west and work your way up the food chain there and be part of the mainstream. And if you're good and you work hard and you're talented, like James Gunn, Eli Roth, or Trey Parker and Matt Stone, and Samuel L. Jackson, or the untold numbers of people who've come out of the loins of Troma Entertainment, you come to the crossroads. You either go out to LA and work your way up the mainstream, because the gatekeepers are still there. The green light, people who green light, as far as I can see, most of the movies and even a lot of the television shows are in Los Angeles. And not to mention Netflix and Amazon, who are major powers now in the club of media cartel. And if you want to have total freedom and do what I did, you can stay anywhere in the world and, be a nurse or a teacher or do something useful with your life, have a day job, save a little money, maybe go on Kickstarter, and your friends and family might send enough money in so you can make a micro budget movie, finish it, take it to some conventions, maybe get it on Troma Now or a few, of the independent streaming services, or if you're lucky, get some big company to pay you a lot of money, but don't give it to them unless they give you a lot of money, and
Sure.
or distribute it yourself. And like
Hmm.
Troma does, you can do exactly what Troma Entertainment's been doing for 47 years. You may not be able to get into theaters the way I can but I've been doing this for 50 years, so I can get 200 independent theaters to play my movies. But you may not be able to, but you'll be able to get them into film festivals and convention film festivals, and maybe you put a table together at a convention with some other independent film festivals and sell your own damn DVDs, and then maybe you scrape enough money together from your sales and from another Kickstarter and GoFundMe to make another micro budget movie while you're working as a teacher or a social worker or something. You're helping society, and then you make another movie, and then maybe eventually the balance switches from part-time movie maker to full-time movie maker because you've got several of your own damn movies with enough income to sort of pay your rent, and your day job could maybe be part-time, and then eventually your movie making becomes full-time.
Sure.
So but now James Gunn, when he was at Troma Dance, he was on the panel a few times.
Hmm.
He said his advice is do what you're good at.
Yeah.
If you're good at publicity, spend more in the public. Become a publicity educator. If you're better at being a director of photography, be a director of photography. If
Hmm.
you're not good at being a film director, don't be a film director. Do what you're good at. I
Sure.
say, I disagree with that. Everything else James Gunn says, including he's the best person you won't find a better person in the entire world than James Gunn. Um, uh, I was the first to publicly make a video supporting him when he had his problems with Disney. Um,
Sure.
but I think life, it goes by so fast. Again, I'm much older, so I suggest you do what you want to do. You only get a chance. You get one chance basically, and I've met many people who were third assistant cameramen when I broke in, who were in the union, who are still third assistant cameramen. Yes, they make 3,000 or 4,000 a week, but with overtime and pension and all that. But they're not getting to create, which is what they set out to do.
Sure.
And a lot of that is because due to their getting a nice salary, they got married and had kids and bought houses and took mortgages, and suddenly,
Mhm.
holy shit, I got to stay in this job until I'm dead because or I can move up a rank or two within the union, but I'm not going to get to direct movies. Do what you want to do and go for it. Go for that brass ring, because in this country, we're one of the few civilizations where we can eat. We're not going to, for the most part, we're not. If we have a college education of some sort, chances are we're not going to starve. And also, we have. Sorry, it's the COVID kicking in. Sorry, if we. We have the luxury in this country, United States of America. We have the luxury of deciding what are we going to do with our lives. Will I be a poet? Will I be a teacher? What I want to have meaning in my life. If you're I spent a year in Chad, poorest country in the world at the time, and people living in mud huts in the bush, which is where I live. No running water, no phones, no television, no electricity. And they're mainly concerned with eating and putting a roof over their heads. And it takes a village, that kind of existence.
Yeah.
So we're lucky here in that if we, we're pretty lucky in that we have the luxury of choosing what to do with our lives, and so go for it.
Yeah. That's some great advice. Well, anyway, I believe our time is about up. I would like to personally thank Lloyd Kaufman for agreeing to be in this interview. I had a great time talking with you. Hope you had a great time talking to me and just sharing your experiences.
Well, thank you, the Film Nerd. And should you or your fans be in New York City, after COVID, of course. Come and visit the Troma building. We get a lot of tourists during the summer. And the Troma team will welcome you, and you'll meet some nice young people who love film, who are idealistic, who don't want to see these giant corporations and phony third-rate bloggers intimidate us, and we want to fight Twitter hate and Twitter bait, and we want to have free speech. Right now,
Absolutely.
we only have, we basically have free speech as long as we don't say anything. We want to bring back free speech. We want to make the world a better place. So when things get better and when we escape from this horrible Troma horror film in which we are all dwelling, come and visit us in New York, Matt.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For those of you who want to know more, you can visit troma.com. And don't forget Troma Now at watch.troma.com. First month for free. After that, it's $4.99 a month. Lloyd, is there anything else you wanted to say?
I've got a fan site, LloydKaufman.com, LLOYD Kaufman.com. And I do answer, if you have questions, I answer my own Twitter at Lloyd Kaufman. And I answer my own, I do my own Instagram. In fact, my Instagram channel with about 37,000 followers was just deactivated for community standards, unfairly deactivated. But I have a new one up called at Uncle Lloyd Kaufman, Uncle Lloyd Kaufman. So, and I answer all of those anyway as a question.
All right.
Twitter is, I probably, it's better if you have a question or want to talk to me. Twitter is probably better.
Sure. But yeah, from FilmNerd, this has been an interview with Lloyd Kaufman. I will see you guys around. Take care.